In this video, we'll be talking about Chapter 11, Financial Markets. This chapter is all about learning about bonds and stocks and futures and learning how they work together. In addition to that, we learn about other investments like mutual funds, retirement accounts, and some other investment terms that are important to know when you come to the world of investing. We're going to focus on how savings is important for an economy and how investing is just as equally as important as well. In section 1, we're going to focus on the savings and investing piece of it. Let's look at different types of investments that are out there and the importance of a country to save. We'll come back to this slide if there's time at the end. Investing and free enterprise. Here's a simple definition that we find here when it comes to saving and investing. The whole idea behind this is that instead of having your funds, spending your funds today. Let's say you got your paycheck in the mail today. It's $100. You go out and spend the whole thing. You blow it. You're not investing. But let's say you decide that you're going to take 20% of that, which would be $20 of $100, and you're going to put it into savings account. You are going to put it into an investment. You're going to buy some stock. This is known as investment. The idea of taking resources, putting it on the side, and investing in something else. There are two reasons why an economy or why a country needs to save. One, it promotes economic growth. The second, it's going to contribute to a nation's wealth. The economic growth. Right at this time while I'm filming this, the world is really going through a pandemic of a virus that has impacted everyone. As a result of that, economic growth has been slowing down to nothing and is actually moving in the opposite direction. Unemployment's going up and other factors as well. But imagine if every person across the world had a savings account with 3 to 6 months. It would still be a pandemic, but it wouldn't have the financial impact that it's having today. So savings is huge for economic growth. And then also savings usually promotes a nation's wealth, meaning that people are going to take part of their savings and they're going to invest it into something else. So two major points on that one. A financial system. A financial system is something there to help you when it comes to saving and investing. Savers and borrowers. A financial asset. Claim on the property or income of a borrower. So you get paid their $100 from your job. That is a financial asset. Your parents own the cars in your house. That is a financial asset. We also see this picture of a saver and borrower in a financial institution. And the idea is a financial intermediate is a middleman, known as a bank, also known as a finance company or credit union or S&L association, which we'll get to later. But these are all financial intermediates that are needed to make investing and saving a lot easier. So when you put your savings, your check into the bank, and you're not spending it, that's an investment where, let's say you need to borrow money for a car, to buy a car, you would find that that would be done through a financial institution. Now, let's talk about a mutual fund. Mutual fund. So it's savings of many individuals, investor money in a variety of stocks, bonds, and other financial assets. In section 3, we'll talk about stocks and bonds. But a mutual fund is simply diversifying your money. So what that means is that let's say that you want to invest into a tech company. Let's say you want to invest in Apple. But let's say you don't want all of your $50 to go into Apple. But what you could do is look into invest into a mutual fund. And a mutual fund takes your money and breaks it apart into different companies. So let's say that you wanted to invest into technology companies such as Apple, Microsoft, Google. Let's say throw some social media in there with Facebook and Twitter. And so what you do is you look for a mutual fund that has all these companies that are included into this one fund. And then your money, your $50, will then be dispersed or diversified amongst these different companies that are inside this one fund known as a mutual fund. So the picture here is that you contact a mutual fund broker, someone who does this for a living. You give them your $50. You tell that person that you want to invest in technology. They will find a mutual fund that is technology based, and and then they'll put that money into the mutual fund. So it's less risk. It's a better investment most of the time. It's safer investment just because your $50 is not going into one company. And on the flip side of that, if let's say that Facebook tanks and does terrible, and let's say that $10 was in each of these companies in the mutual fund, you're only losing $10. And what they're going to do is they're going to look for an alternative technology company to add to that mutual fund and replace it, take out Facebook instead. So a mutual fund is a great way to invest. It takes your money, it puts it into one fund, and then that fund has a list of different companies that the money is going into. Another investment is known as a hedge fund. This is usually, and I'll move the slide here, employs risky strategies, but there's huge profits to be made. Usually, in order to get involved with hedge funds, you have some background, experience working with investments already. And sometimes the investment can be a lot risky, but there's huge rewards on this. So let's say when Uber was started, there was opportunity for early investors to get into it, such as Elon Musk. He was an early investor when it came to Uber. It was a hedge fund. It was huge risk, but now there was huge profit to be made. So it basically means that there's a lot more risk, but there's benefit. And the image here shows commodities. Let's say that you and a group of investors figured out that this pandemic of virus was going to take off. And you know that the price of gold was going to skyrocket. Well, what you would do is you and the investment team would buy a bunch of stocks in gold and hold on to it. And as a result, your investment would increase. Let's talk about a life insurance company. Life insurance company is provide financial protection for the family or other beneficiaries of the insured. So here's what this means. You haven't bought a life insurance policy for you. Your parents may have or may not have put a life insurance policy on you. But what it looks like is when you get your first career, you should buy life insurance, and you're going to pay a monthly bill known as a premium. That premium money is going to be sent to a financial institution, such as a company that specializes in life insurance policies. So Geico would be something like this. And then if you passed away before you end the life insurance term, which is usually 15, 20, 30 years, the money that you decided on would then go to a beneficiary. So for your parents, if they were to pass away, you would be the beneficiary. If they have you in the will, you would be the beneficiary of that money. So it's a way to divert risk away from you and take care of others. But this is life insurance. You pay the monthly bill, it goes to a financial institution like Geico, and then if you were to pass away, that money in the document that you signed would then go to the beneficiary. So maybe it would be your siblings or your future spouse or your kids or whoever it might be. Let's talk about a pension fund. These are not as popular as they used to be just because they are expensive for the employer. But the whole idea is that with the employee, you have the opportunity to contribute money into a retirement account. Now, focus here where you see contribute, take percent of paycheck, or both. When you get your first job, and if they offer a pension fund, that what that means is that they're going to put money into a retirement account for you. They're going to do a couple things. One, they might match what you put into it. So let's say that if you put in 3% of your paychecks, they will match 3%. So you're really getting like a 6% return. You can contribute as well. And word of advice, when you get to that point and the company says we do a 6%, 7%, maybe a 4% match, always maximize the match because that's free money that's being put into your retirement account. So you put money into this pension fund, the company puts money into it, that money is used to buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, And by the time you hit retirement, that money that you've been contributing and the company you work for has been contributing is now at the point where it's ready to come out, and then that's money you can retire on. So that is a pension fund. Now, what are the advantages of using a financial intermediate? One, it shares risk. Diversification. The whole idea here is that you are spreading your investments around to reduce risk. So maybe you have different types of stocks, maybe different types of bonds, maybe different types of mutual funds that you're investing in. It's diversifying it. It's making it a lot safer, because if one company tanks and goes out of business, well, you diversified enough where it's not all in one thing. Providing liquidity. The idea that you're able to take the investment and move it into cash quickly. So if you have a retirement account, if you have a savings account, if you have a checking account, all those, well, a checking is the number one most liquid, because meaning that you can get access to your money quickly. So the word liquidity is talking about how fast you can get that money. But let's say that you want to be an art collector and you buy a bunch of art. Well, in the circumstances mentioned right now when this video is being made, people aren't buying art just because it's not something for survival. It's less liquid. You would have to downplay the price, drop the price so low to get people to buy into it. So a painting would not be something that would be considered liquid. A house is not something that's liquid. A car is not even something liquid. You want something, the advantage is that you're able to get the money quickly. Now, other advantages, you can hire individuals known as a fund manager. And the fund manager then would be the one responsible to manage your money for you. You would look at his portfolio or her portfolio, and you would look to see, okay, where do they have experience? And then you look at something called a prospectus. And prospectus is performance. How well has this investment been performing? So the portfolio is really, you look for someone experienced in a type of field that you think would be a good investment. So technology. Maybe this fund manager is a technology fund manager that's his experience. You look at his portfolio. Where has he done very well? Like, what companies does he have interested in? And then you look at his prospectus of how has he been able to manage that fund. Let's say it is Kraft Foods. You would then look at the prospectus and see the report card basically for the company that you want to invest in to see if it's going well. And fund managers do very well. Right now, it's a very difficult time for the fund managers just because investments are all over the place. The economy is not doing well, but portfolio, again, is talking about where they have experience, and prospectus is showing like a report card of where they've been able to be successful. Also, liquidity and return. Money an investor receive above beyond the sum of money initially invested. For investing with a financial intermediate, you're going to have a return. You put money in your savings account, maybe it's 2% return. And then diversifying that risk. It says CD or new company. So a CD, I'm not talking about a CD that you put in a CD player. A CD in investing is called the certificate of deposit. And the idea here is that you put, it's like a savings account that you're not allowed to touch for a period of time. At the end, you gain interest. So that's what a CD is. It's a savings account that you can't take the money out for a period of time. Versus new company. CD is very safe. You're going to get a return. Versus your friend comes to you, wants to start a lawn mowing business this summer. New company. Higher risk, but there could be higher return. Or putting your money into a savings account versus giving to the Martha. The idea here is that savings account is very safe. And let's say Martha comes to you and wants to borrow some money. Well, if Martha doesn't have a good track record of paying her back her funds money that she owes people, or paying them back at all, you would see then that Martha would be a higher risk. But the question is to ask, how are people who are high risk able to still get loans? The idea behind this is that the more risk a person is, the higher the interest rate. So when you start investing, when you start borrowing money to buy a home or whatever it might be, you get a credit report. The higher the number on the credit report indicates that you are better at paying back your debts versus someone with a low score means that that person is late on payments, doesn't make payments, or maybe they don't have experience. So for instance, if you want to get a car loan today, probably none of you really have any experience on your credit report of borrowing and paying back loans. You would get a very high interest rate because you'd be considered more risk. So this is the end of section 1 of chapter 11 about investing.